and welcome to this July edition of Monroeville at Your Service. I'm your Municipal Manager, Alex Graziani, bringing you today's show from the Monroeville Municipal Building. A lot to get to on the show, so let's start with a quick look at what's ahead. For this month's Manager's Minute, I will share some thoughts on our nation's founding. Another fabulous 4th of July parade was held on a beautiful day earlier this month. We'll have highlights later in the show. And I'll go out on the town with Deputy Director of Public Works, Jamie Story, for an in-depth look at our municipal road paving program. But first, two guests are joining me here in the studio today. Allow me to introduce to you the duo, Paul Estock, Director of Recreational Programming, along with Danielle Cole, Director of Recreational Programming. So we'll talk a little bit about titles and try to sort how both of you get the same title. But thank you, first of all, for joining us here today.
Thank you for having us. We're really looking forward to this.
One of the things that's so outstanding to me about Monroeville is the quality of life that residents get to enjoy here, from great public safety services and road and refuse services, is the recreational opportunities. The value of living in Monroeville really has a lot to do with what you guys are overseeing. So I'm really glad to have you here. Hi, Danielle.
Hi.
And you guys are super busy because we're in the middle of summer and all kinds of programming happening. But before we get to the programming, let's start with talk about the park system. Number of parks, kind of what do they have here in Monroeville?
Yeah, I've been working for Municipality of Monroeville for 24 years now, going on 24 years. So we've seen a lot of changes over the years with our park system. Currently, we have 21 parks in Monroeville, roughly 820 acres of park land. How many of that's developed? I would say probably around 500 of that property is developed between playgrounds, court systems, picnic areas, a variety of different things. We have just an array of different locations throughout Monroeville, and each one of those parks have where we can actually rent out parks. We have 10 locations that we can rent out on a daily basis. We run that from May until almost October. It's a great opportunity. This year alone in the park system, we have, I think roughly, I just looked at it, 570 park rentals this year so far. So it really takes up a lot of our time over the summer. It's something that we thoroughly enjoy, to offer people the opportunity to get out into our park systems and enjoy.
So would it be fair to say that of the 21 parks, most of them are strategically located to be walkable to the neighborhoods, to service the neighborhoods, and have amenities catering for birthday parties, for example, or just playing on the swing and hanging out at the playground? But these are walkable, right? I mean, you can get to them from the neighborhoods, correct?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We have walking trails on a variety of different ones. We also, too, recently, a few years ago, added the Westmoreland Heritage Trail, which was a piece of a railroad that came through from Trafford all the way out to Export. And Monroeville oversees 1.2 miles of that. And that has been such a great amenity for us. And it's really added to our park system. And it's really allowed for people to get out, not only enjoy all of our parks, but also allow them to get onto that trail system.
And adding to the neighborhood parks, about 20 years ago, the municipality acquired what we call Community Park West, but it really has become our central park community gathering space. So what's that like?
Monroeville Park West is definitely always busy and bumping. We always have something going on up there, if not 10 different things going on up there. We have Monroeville baseball and softball that use the fields, Monroeville soccer's based out of there, 5 picnic pavilions that are consistently fully rented out during the weekends all summer long, beautiful amphitheater, mud and gazebo, and a summer concert series that happens every Sunday evening in the park.
Yeah, that's something that we've started back in Father's Day weekend. Every Sunday from now till the end of August, we have a variety of different bands that come in every Sunday. And we're also too fortunate that we can have special events up there. We actually have a professionally done 5K racing paths that people can utilize, and we get like 4 or 5 events up there a year for that also. So it's a very popular park. It's going to get more popular because we just recently converted some of our courts up there. We are now going to have 12 permanent pickleball courts. But we're not taking away any of the other amenities. We're going to still have the tennis courts. We're going to still have the basketball court. So we're really looking forward to that. It's going to really enhance that park up there. That's already busy, like Danielle said. It's already a busy park, but it's definitely going to really add something and draw a lot of people, not only in Monroeville, but outside of Monroeville.
Oh, I'm so glad you made that point, because when we think about parks and what they add to our community, it's about quality of life, but it attracts people because of Monroeville's wonderful business community and the interstate highways and the large roads that connect everyone to our community. We have a lot of visitors, and many of them are experiencing our parks and visiting our parks. The contrast between the community park and the little neighborhood parks can really be seen with those numbers. We get a lot of out-of-town people, and what's beautiful about that is while they come and hang out at our park, they also go to our restaurants, or maybe on the way to the park they stop and get something at a store, and that's just multiplies for everybody. It really adds to the vibrancy and the regional attraction of Monroeville.
Yeah, and I think it's important for that to happen like that, and I think that's what Monroeville Community Park, why it came to fruition. I think it's been amazing. And we also too have Monroeville Park East. In Monroeville Park East, they're together, but they're not together. We have Monroeville Park West, Monroeville Park East. And the greatest thing about that is that Danielle, she's able to hold some of her summer programs with that. And maybe Danielle, tell us a little bit about our programs.
Yeah, well, I want to get to that. But what's exciting is what we do at the parks. Not only that they're there and we all can enjoy them, but the programming that you mentioned with Danielle. We've got little props here, and you might be wondering, well, why ukuleles or little toys, and of course the basketball we know. But what happens at our parks? All of them, but particularly in the main ones.
Yeah, so from whenever the weather permits it, we have programs that run out of our pavilions, out of our different parks. Monroeville Park East is utilized for 2 different summer camps. One is Monroeville Summer Day Camp, and we serve between 35 and 40 campers a week. And that sold out this year in 40 hours after opening registration. So it's quite a popular program. The community definitely loves it, and there's definitely a need for it. And then we also have a special needs camp called Camp Chippewa that we run out of the park as well. And they're actually on a field trip to the zoo today.
And we're not with them.
I know.
That's kind of sad.
We're here.
Yeah, I wish we were with them. So when did that start? That's pretty unusual, I think, to have a camp like that.
Yeah, so that definitely happened before me.
Yeah, I mean, it's been going
decades.
on for decades. I mean, even prior to me, which is, again, 24 years, Camp Chippewa was in place.
But we've maintained it for that period of time.
That is tremendous. There's so few opportunities with kiddos who have disabilities to find a great outdoor experience in a safe environment. And the fact that you've been doing it for years is a testament to our commitment to serving the community well. Yeah, great job. I didn't realize it was that long. So how many weeks do these camps run? The first camp?
Yeah, so Monroeville Summer Day Camp runs for 10 weeks. And then
10 weeks? Mm-hmm. So wait a second, there's just the 2 of you. And I know you have another full-time staff person throughout the year,
Yeah.
so you must rely on a lot of temporary full-time employees throughout the summer.
Some seasonal employees,
Yes.
yeah. And I would say, I think we compete with the police department in the summer with how many employees we have.
Wow.
Across our swimming program, our aquatics program, swim lessons, camps. We run actually 3 camps. We also ran a theater camp this summer as well. Our regular programming, we have some park pop-ups going on, some passive recreation opportunities with life-size games going to different pavilions for people to play with, mud kitchens, trying to get people to check out parks that maybe isn't in their neighborhood, but is a little hidden gem in somebody else's neighborhood. And it's been really successful this summer.
Yeah, and not only do we hire the seasonal workers to help with programming and keeping the kiddos safe, but as you mentioned with the acreage and the amount of facilities, our Public Works Department does a tremendous job maintaining our parks, and they also hire additional staff during the summer because obviously to cut grass and to assist with some of those projects that really you can't do in the winter, you can only do this time of year.
You hit the nail on the head because I was trying to think ahead what you were going to ask me next, and that is the key here, is our Public Works staff and Paul and the group of guys he has out there. We couldn't do it without them. The community park currently we have four 4 full-time people just at the community park alone. Then we have another group that goes out to all of our other parks. And they're constantly out there maintaining these parks, cleaning them, fixing them up. We're currently in a project right now at Hawkeye Park, which is one of our rental projects, partnership with, we got a donation. And so they're out there. We're always trying to make the park better. And obviously, Municipality of Monroeville is an older municipality, and we're trying to catch up. And we're doing that.
So you mentioned the project at Hawkeye. You mentioned the pickleball courts.
Absolutely.
We've done the batting cages. We've done new scoreboards this year, some new backstop signage. So there's dozens of other littler projects that we're doing. So there's no doubt in my mind, the three of us could talk like really a lot, and there's so much to cover. But I want to focus on, as we wrap up, all this wonderful programming. How do people who are maybe not aware of all that we have explore our parks, and how do they learn more, and how do they get on the mailing list?
Yeah, so every resident in Monroeville receives our brochure.
Okay.
If you're not a resident of Monroeville, you're still welcome to join us in our programming or our events. We're happy to see you, but you'll have to access it online, and you can find that at www.monroeville.pa.us/parks. And then our quarterly brochure comes up, and we announce that first on Facebook. So if you're itching to see what's out as soon as it's out, that's definitely the place to look. And you can follow us at Monroeville PA Parks on Facebook for the first look of every brochure that goes live.
We also have the opportunity that people can actually also register online. They don't only always have to come into our office, they can also do it online too. As long as they have an account with us.
And we have activities all year round, not just in the summer.
Yeah, everybody jokes that summer's my busy time, and it's definitely our busiest time.
Yeah.
But we definitely are running around all year long, running after school programs, special events, holiday themed. We have a good time all year.
And I appreciate the two of you sitting down with me. I can't thank you enough for all that you do to really help be about safety first and caring concern for the kids. Danielle, even today, she has a lot of fires going on, but she's been really good to participate in this, but it's because of your heart of wanting to serve the residents and making sure the kiddos, when parents drop them off, we take that very seriously. And we want to give them back.
I treat them like they're my kids.
Yeah, and is like they were given to us.
Yep.
Safe and in return. So I just really appreciate all that you do and your team and your commitment to make Monroeville a great community to live in. Thank you for taking the time to be with me today, and we'll have to have you back to talk about all the things we missed.
We'll have to head to parks.
Thank you very much for having us.
There's a lot of out on the town that we'll need to do at the parks.
Sounds great.
I can't wait to get my boots on and get walking and playing and whatever we want to do.
We'd love to take you out there and show you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you now. While our parks and associated amenities garner a lot of usage, that amount of traffic kind of pales in comparison to that which is on our roadways. So coming up next, I'll go out on the town for a glimpse of how we pave and maintain our roads. Before we turn the page from recreation and parks, here's a look at some upcoming events that the department is hosting. Monroeville At Your Service returns in a moment. Hello, this is Alex Graziani. I'm here out on the town in Monroeville with Deputy Director of Public Works, Jamie Story. Jamie, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
Great. Glad to have you today. We're here at the corner of Sweet Leaf and
Garden City Drive.
Excellent. And the reason we're here is to talk a little bit about this year's paving program and paving in general here in Monroeville. Last month we talked with Public Works Director Paul Hugas about the paving program, and now we just wanted to show you how it works in the different areas, in the different applications or tools that we pull out of our toolbox to maintain the 110 miles of road here. So Jamie, what are we looking at today at this intersection? What do we want the viewers to understand?
All right, so this intersection is, like we said, Garden City Drive and Sweet Leaf Drive. So this is a good indication of a road that was paved last year. So this would be a candidate this year for fog sealing. So this road is actually in really good shape. You shouldn't see any cracks or defects on it. But when you look, you can actually see the tar that was sprayed on the gutter lines and the center line. That's the color that the road was last year. It was a dark black. You can already see the roads becoming kind of light gray. So what that indicates to us is that there's already ultraviolet degradation of the road. So it's actually starting to bake the road. And honestly, the road consists of rocks that are glued together with tar. As the road ages and UV degradation hits the road and the freeze-thaw cycles and everything else, it basically bakes the life out of that tar, and the road becomes more brittle. As it becomes more brittle, it cracks. As it cracks, it lets moisture in, and the whole process kind of amplifies. So this is our first stab at preserving the road. So we have a road that's in excellent shape, no defects on it, but UV degradation is already starting. So we will apply a fog seal to this road, which is just a thin layer of asphalt emulsion, which is tar mixed with water. We'll spray that onto the road. It takes about 30 minutes to 45 minutes, depending on how hot it is and humidity, dew point, that sort of thing, for it to cure, and it'll look brand new. Once we're done, it'll look like a freshly paved road. But the goal, again, is to seal the road so that the moisture can't get into it and start damaging the road, to imbue some more ultraviolet protection against the ultraviolet rays of the sun, and ultimately make it less permeable. The side benefit is it looks brand new, so for the residents, you get another year of your road looking brand new and upping your property values. But there's another thing we can look at here is each year when we pave a road, we look at holistically. So I call it a neighborhood upgrade or a neighborhood refresh. So before we pave the road, we'll trim the trees, we'll look at the storm sewers, inspect and clean all the storm sewers, repair the storm sewers. We'll replace all the signage, so if there's any faded signage on the road, rusty poles, anything else that makes the neighborhood look less than optimal, we'll replace those. Get you new shiny signs, and we put down new pavement markings. So by the time the milling paving operation is done, everything that we have our fingers in is completely redone.
When I drive through Monroeville, I see right away the quality of the signage, and it's a testament to your crew kind of being diligent and keeping them up. So where are we heading to next?
Yeah, so our next stop will be Sunnyfield Drive, and we're going to look at a fog seal that was performed last year.
So at this stop, Jamie, we're looking at an example of a road that was paved in 2022.
Correct.
And in 2023, it had the fog seal treatment on
Correct.
it.
So that would be the next step. We just looked at Sweetleaf that's about to receive its first fog seal. This one actually already received its first fog seal. So we're at the intersection of Sunnyfield Drive and Pine Frost Drive in Garden City. And really the only thing to look at on this road is if you were to recall from the last street, it looked already kind of oxidized and faded. It was kind of a lightish gray. This road, despite being 1 year older, is noticeably darker. And in some sections it's a little bit clearer to tell than other sections, but you can see that the surface of the asphalt is enriched with that extra tar. So when we mix asphalt and place it, the entire thickness of the asphalt has the same amount of tar in it. In this case, though, once the asphalt has been placed, UV degradation occurs to the top. The mechanical abrasion from the vehicle tires is at the top. The rainwater hits the top. The freeze-thaw starts at the top. So logically, that fog seal puts a little bit of extra tar at the surface where it's needed the most to combat all those sources of degradation. So again, this is just an example of a road that was received its first preventive maintenance treatment, which was a fog seal.
Okay, Jamie, where are we at now and what are we looking at?
So we're standing at the intersection of Firethorn Drive and Bayberry Drive in the Garden City plan. And what we want to look at here is roads that were maintained by crack sealing. So these roads actually were paved in 2003, so that's 21 years ago. We generally expect that the asphalt, like an overlay itself, will last like 15.77 years on average. And at that point, it would either be, depending on condition, it would have been milled and overlaid, or it would have received a seal coat. In this case, we've just kept crack sealing these roads. The cracks develop whether you want them to or not, just because as the asphalt ages, some of the ingredients of the tar volatilize out, so it loses its volume. Because it loses its volume, it shrinks. So you'll get shrinkage cracking is the first thing that you see. And then once the water can get into the shrinkage cracks, it'll spawn secondary cracks and the pavement deteriorates from there. But as long as you can keep up on the crack sealing, it extends the life of the road. So in actuality, for roads like this, crack sealing is 97% more cost effective than milling and paving.
So two things. One, you started in December 2002.
Correct.
So the next summer, this got paved.
Correct.
And it's holding up well. And then you also mentioned the PACER system, which is a scale of 1 to 10 to rate roads, 10 being newly
new
built
pavement,
or just had been milled and overlaid and it's brand new and ready to go. And then 7 sounds like a pretty good number. What number for you and your team do you say, hey, we got to mill and overlay, we can't do the seal coat, it's time?
Mill and overlay is generally reserved for a PACER rating of 4 or less. Actually, once you get down to like a PACER rating of like 1 or 2, you're probably looking at more in-depth reconstruction or a full depth reclamation.
So here we are at a new location, Jamie. Where are we at and what are we looking at here?
We're right up the road from the previous one at the intersection of Pine Frost Drive and Firethorn Drive. And what we're looking at is Pine Frost Drive, which is on our list this year to receive a seal coat with a flush coat on top. So things to talk about here, I guess, is as we look down the road, you can see the remnants of the prior fog seal. This road was paved in 2014, so it's 10 years old. You can see the prior fog seal, some remnants of that here and there where you can see kind of darker spots, almost look like water flowed over the road. That was the asphalt emulsion. You can also see the remnants of past crack sealing that we've done on this road. So as we've talked about before, the first treatment that these roads get is the fog seal, and then they're maintained with routine crack filling until they get to the point where that's not really effective to do anymore. And that's where we're at with this road. So if you look closely at this road, even in this particular location, you can see not only we had cracks, but we have secondary cracks and tertiary cracks. So this is what we would call multiple cracking here. So we just have a whole mess of cracks essentially. So to have a crew try to crack seal this would take forever and it wouldn't be very effective. And then we'd leave spots that had quite a bit of crack sealing on them, which could become slippery when it rains, or the plows could strip it off in the winter time. So it's just not worth it from like a labor or road maintenance perspective to crack seal these. So we've kind of lost that window. This road has progressed through, it's aged through that window of crack sealing. So we will seal coat this road, which will fill in all of these small cracks. It'll fill them in with polymerized asphalt, which is a special asphalt that has latex and some other ingredients in it that makes it very flexible. That'll seal all the cracks, and then we'll have an application of aggregate, which will again give us a uniform surface and give us some traction back. And then we cover over top of that with a flush coat, which is just a different term for a fog seal. So a fog seal is applied on a new asphalt, hot mix asphalt pavement, and a flush coat is applied over a seal coat. And honestly, probably the benefit people like most is it just makes it aesthetically pleasing. It looks like a hot mix road, which most of our residents, that's the way they want to see their road.
Okay, Jamie, so another location. Though we've been in Garden City this entire time this morning looking at various elements, the program we're describing isn't just for the Garden City section of Monroeville. Every road in Monroeville gets treated with these kinds of tools, if you will, out of the toolbox for pavement management, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we try to treat all of the roads in Monroeville, all of our pavement infrastructure. Everybody gets kind of a fair and equitable treatment of their roads, so one ward isn't. Ideally, if we're doing it right, one ward shouldn't have better roads than another, or one person's neighborhood shouldn't be better than another. But I did pick the roads that we looked at today just because of proximity. They're all pretty close together. We could cover a wide range of methods all in a relatively
as well as
small
safety.
space.
We haven't had to fight and
Right.
dodge traffic and be like Frogger.
Right.
We've been able just to do this and really educate everyone on how this program works.
Right.
So what are we seeing here?
Okay, so we're on Holly Drive, also in the Garden City plan, and we're looking at a candidate. This road will get milled and paved this year. So a couple things to look at on this road. We had talked earlier about maintaining roads via crack sealing. This road, actually, the last time it was paved, I believe was 2007. We did not perform most of the preventive maintenance treatments back then that we do now. So when you look at this road, you won't see any remnants of fog sealing and you won't see any remnants of crack sealing. That's one of the reasons why I think this road hasn't lasted us as long as some of the other ones that we've looked at today. But this particular road, when we look at it, I'll show you a couple things. I don't know whether they're really visible on camera, but a newer crack is relatively tight. So this one you could probably barely discern on the camera. But as those cracks get larger and they age, they start to erode, so they become thicker and wider. So even this crack over here, you should be able to see this one on camera most likely. But as the water gets in there and freeze-thaw cycles happen, it starts to pop out additional aggregate on the side, so it'll make this crack wider and wider, which lets more water in and it erodes the quality of your ride on the road. So the degradation process actually speeds up. When the road's fairly new, it can last a fairly long time. But once the degradation really takes hold, that curve speeds up and the condition goes down really fast. So that's part of our approach to pavement management. And then down the hill here, another thing that we'll start seeing, this is called raveling here. As the tar or the binder in the mix starts to age and lose all of its resiliency, it'll lose its ability to hold onto the stone. So you kind of end up with the stones getting plucked out by weather and traffic. So this has a really rough appearance. That's called raveling. That's another sign of a pavement that's kind of at the end of its life. And raveling, as it progresses, turns into potholes. So in this case, you can actually see the wearing course, or so the top layer of asphalt has worn away, and we're looking at the binder course that's below. Even that, I can pluck the stones out of it. There's no life left in that tar. So really at this point, we've exhausted all of our window for preventive maintenance treatments, and this one's a candidate for mill and overlay.
So that last question then would be, once they start milling, like say for example Holly, when do you think they'll be done as far as there's no more activity of construction going on here?
Generally speaking, we'll mill the road. The next day, we'll put 2 layers of asphalt on. So the first one's called binder. We'll mill the road, and it'll probably be within a day or two. We'll put the first coat on, the binder coat, and then either the same day or the following day, we'll put what's called the wearing course, which is actually the part you drive on. So probably 2 days, 1 day for milling, 1 day for paving. It could be 3 days. We try to keep everything pretty tight though, so you're not living in a neighborhood that looks like a war zone for any longer than possible. Yeah,
there's a lot going on, and it's our biggest asset. At the 110 miles of road, if we had to build those brand new today, you think of $1 million a mile or more, it would cost a lot. This is our asset that the community owns, and of course, we're dedicating to taking care of it as best we can for the driving public, for their safety, and for our all mutual benefit. So thank you for all the hard work. Again, it's a year-round job, but soon, this summer, they'll be seeing all of these elements in full activity, mainly before school starts, but maybe even a little bit after school starts, where some of those things will get wrapped up for the 2024 paving program.
Yeah, and maybe something I should add, Alex and I are here talking, we're the faces of this discussion, but behind the scenes, I have a high-quality sign shop, takes care of all the signage and pavement markings. We have a road crew that goes through and takes care of a lot of the crack sealing and the tree trimming, milling and patching, small milling and patching that we do on some of these roads, and a storm sewer crew that comes through and cleans the storm sewers, inspects them, repairs them. So Alex and I are just the tip of the iceberg, I guess. There's a much bigger staff beneath us that are doing all the hard work and shoveling asphalt all summer in the heat. So
we have the easy job. We just get to talk about it, and they make us look good.
Yeah, we couldn't do any of this without those guys. So I try never to take credit for anything that they do, because again, they do all the hard work.
Thanks. Well, I appreciate your time.
Thanks,
good
Alex.
work.
Appreciate it.
Keep it up. Spending time out on the town with Mr. Story impressed upon me the amount of care, planning, and preparation that goes into our multifaceted pavement management program. Speaking of treated roads, the 4th of July parade participants had a nice, freshly paved Business 22 to traverse the traditional parade route. Highlights from the event are on the way next. Welcome back to Monroeville at Your Service. During my time as municipal manager, I've had many things that I can say I'm honored to do. I'm honored to have the opportunity to serve this municipality. Honored to work alongside us staff and meet residents that care deeply about this wonderful community. And I'm sure many more to come. High on that list was being asked to co-host the 4th of July parade earlier this month. To be front and center for the many groups and performances was a delight. Here are some of the highlights from the event.
Today we gather to honor the spirit of independence that defines our nation. The gun, oh yes, they vote.
up at noon at that restaurant,
have
everything
been.
stops and they sing. They sing the national anthem and everybody stops eating. Here comes Batman on the Bat Quad. Let us be our motto. In God, we trust. What a wonderful time. And I was quite a surprise to be asked to help MC the event, and that was special. That was a surprise, but it was also a surprise to know that the parade was about 3 hours long. And it really didn't seem that long when we were doing it. And it was a testament, quite frankly, to the care of this community about how much we love our independence and celebrate our freedoms. Coming up next, I'll have the Manager's Minute on our founding of our country and the state of affairs here in Monroeville. Back to put a bow on this July edition of Monroeville at Your Service in just a moment. One of our goals for Monroeville at Your Service is to involve you in the program and hopefully answer the questions that you are burning to ask. Submit your questions to be answered right here on Monroeville at Your Service. We'll take your questions via Facebook or email. With that information listed here, we want to hear what's on your mind. For this month's Manager's Minute, I'm reminded of a call that I heard back in June. The call was for the TGI Fridays fire, and on that call, I heard our wonderful volunteers being outstanding professionals, directing and orienting staff and people who are there responding to the fire and address that emergency. And what impressed me was the age of our fire chiefs. The particular fire chief involved couldn't have been a young person out of their 30s, no more than that. And that was really impressive because what I've seen in Monroeville is a great balance. We have a lot of seniority in our department heads, and we also have allowed younger people to advance to levels of leadership that I think is a sign of excellence in community. And as I was thinking about the Declaration of Independence and the 248th anniversary of the founding of our country, I was reminded of the fact that the Committee of Five was exactly what I see here in Monroeville. You may ask, what was the Committee of Five? Well, they were the committee appointed by the Continental Congress to draft the Declaration of Independence. Some of them you might be familiar with. Thomas Jefferson, a delegate of Virginia. He was just 33 years old. John Adams from Massachusetts. He was only 40. Benjamin Franklin, of course, from Pennsylvania. He was the elder statesman at 70. And then there was Roger Sherman of Connecticut. He was 55. But Robert Livingston of New York was only 29. Think about that. Gentlemen in the ages of their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 70s were committed with the task of drafting one of the most important founding documents the world has ever seen. So many revolutions, not only ours, but others, borrowed from the words, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed." Imagine that a Committee of Five, and that the primary author, being only 33 years old, was vested with this great responsibility. And that reminded me of this fire chief who was directing fire crews and emergency response teams to safely put out the fire here in Monroeville, that we have that same kind of tradition here where younger people and older people work together to achieve the objective to give us the kind of liberties we have and celebrate here this July 2024. Be on the lookout for upcoming editions of Monroeville at Your Service. Our library has been holding themed youth camps all summer long, and next month we'll showcase those and more. Find our show on our cable TV channels Comcast 21 and Verizon 45, as well as all episodes archived on the MMTV YouTube page. Whichever platform you found us on today, thanks for watching. We'll be back next month with another fabulous edition of Monroeville at Your Service. Until then, stay well and be blessed.